Going live, going live. I'm live. We're live. 4-0. Oh my God. Oh, I thought that game was never gonna end. The 4:25 start killed me. I was glad it was nationally televised. I was like, okay, I'm glad it's nationally televised. But outside of that, man, I was confident going into this game. Slightly worried. Derek Carr is very, very accurate. The Raiders' defense is a sieve. I wasn't worried about that. But before the first half ends, Josh Allen going down. Damager, what's up? I was just like, oh my God, this is it. If we finally find a quarterback, he's down on the field holding his arm. Turned out to be a left shoulder. Looked like it was a stinger. He came back in, but still, man, can the football gods just spare us a little bit, just a little bit? But they did. He came back in. He toughed it out. The officiating, again, obviously horrible. What's up, Rick? I don't understand what they look at. It's like they just want to cover their own ass. They make stuff up on the fly. The pass interference late. The flag came from. I didn't see a flag on the field. I saw it. I saw like there was just the flag logo on the screen, and they're sitting there looking. That was not a pass interference against Poyer. That was a touchdown by John Brown. Some of these plays, man, are just horrific plays. These are horrific plays. They're so bad, and it's just so irritating to watch. And I just hope it doesn't cost us, a game, because it's disgusting. And each week it happens. And the Rams will say it happened to them last week, but I'll say there was two big plays in that game. Josh Allen getting face masked, he fumbled. The bullshit interception where I didn't even think it was a push off to begin with. I've seen way worse happen in this league that were just let go. But to go to 4-0 on the road, have your quarterback go down, get back, be able to come back out and really reestablish himself. And they made plays when they had to, man. The defense was scaring us. They gave up 16 points in the first half. 13 points in the first half. They gave up 10. It was a late touchdown. And it was just, they made the plays when they had to. They made the plays when they had to. Two forced fumbles. I say three. What the hell was that? Where Derek Carr just kind of takes the ball. The play is not over. The play is continuing, and he just kind of like tosses it. I don't know who the hell he was tossing it to. I felt it like it got knocked out of his arms. Milano falls on it, and the refs say it was in the grasp, forward momentum. He was barely moving. The play was still in the flow. He didn't go nowhere. He was trying to avoid getting sacked. And then they call that, and it unbelievable. But that was ridiculous, Damager. That was ridiculous. But the defense did tighten up in the second half. They made a stop. The huge kickoff return by Andre Roberts flipped the game. Bills go down and score. Bills force a fumble on the coming back off of injury, a peanut punch style forced fumble by Josh Norman. And boom, the Bills go down there, bang, 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 bang. Motor punches it in. The game is over. There was a few tense moments there, but how about the play during that sequence? That's why you go out and get Stephon Diggs for your quarterback. Josh Allen just puts one up for his number one target, and Diggs delivers for him, and that just builds confidence between the quarterback and the receiver, and he's going to start to get more balls like that, because he went up and won that ball, and that put the Bills in prime position. I was really upset after the Quentin Jefferson forced fumble, or it was a stop. I think it was a stop, or I can't remember which. I think it was a stop, a 4th-and-1 stop. The Bills went backwards. They took a penalty. I was really wanting them to put the foot on the throat and just finish this game. There wouldn't be a lot of tense moments, but what can we complain about? We can nitpick, but 4-0. That's a really, wow. That's the kind of start you need. That's the kind of start that you get. And the quarterback is playing very, very well. He had a few rough patches in this game, but all in all, in the fourth quarter, he delivered again. He delivered again, and he drove them down when they needed to get drives. He drove them down. He didn't break 300 yards. He was almost there. He was only 12 short. I think he got screwed out of a touchdown pass, but he ran one in earlier. No, he ran one in right after. And what can you say? 15 touchdowns, 12 to passing, 3 rushing. He didn't run at all in this game. He didn't use his legs. It was all arm. The sack, yeah, was very, very confusing. I mean, the only positive I see in him taking the sack, and it was weird at the time, and it didn't piss me off as much for 2 reasons. One, I was a little weird. I was like, I kind of wanted to see Bass make that kick, but you're up 14 points. I didn't want to see him miss it and totally kill his confidence. Then you take the sack, you back up your punter, maybe you get it down, and Bojorquez with 2 really bad punts today, man. You've got to give your unit a chance to down that, and they had no chance. And they have good special teams players. Bass did redeem himself on the tackle of Richard, I believe, on the kickoff. I will give him that. I'll give him that 100%. He did redeem himself, but you got to give your gunners a chance to down that ball, and he didn't. But the clock kept running. That's the next reason I was happy. The clock was running. I'm like, okay, you take the sack, you don't throw it away, and the clock stops. You're going to bleed 30 more seconds off that clock. And hopefully, at the time I thought maybe get a down punt, which they didn't. But all in all, there was some big plays in this game. You go back to the first half, Allen, giving Beasley a chance in the red. I mean, right there inside the 15, and he puts it right on him. Beasley did go out in this game a little bit, came back in with a foot. That was good to see that he was back out there. I don't know if he caught a ball when he came back in, but that's a huge catch, and you make that catch. And Brown contributed very, very well today. There was one series in the third quarter that was just drops. He threw one to Diggs off his hands. Brown was streaking over the middle. It was just clunky looking. There was a time I just wanted them to establish motor. This is a defense that had just given up 250 yards rushing. And I really wanted them to get motor going, just break it open, get him in space, let him work, let him squirt through one of the holes. But they found a way. They got Knox involved late with a few of those interesting Patriot-like tight end screens. One was down near the goal line. I feel like they were trying to get him a touchdown, and they won. And it's the kind of gritty on the road performance that you're going to need during a season. And there was a time where the Bills win against the Dolphins looked like this is the Dolphins, but you see they gave the Seattle Seahawks a hard time today. They gave the Seattle Seahawks a hard time. They scored 23 points, and they were a pain in the ass for that team. And they had a similar style game as the Bills, and it seems like the defenses are trying to catch up to the offense, because if you look at this truncated camp that they had, this 4-week camp, it was a passing camp. There was only a handful of padded practices. There wasn't that many, they weren't trying to get the guys like a lot of contact. They're being very cautious with soft tissue. So I think you're going to see the defenses start to get better as contact happens, as they get more acclimated. I mean, this is week 4. In essence, this was the maybe the 4th preseason game, but instead these were for real. And this was a tough game. I felt like the Bills could have put another touchdown or at least a field goal on the board. I wish it was a nice round 31, but this team's put up 30 offensive points, and you can't slight that. The defense forced, I believe, 2 turnovers. Could have had their hands on a couple of more balls that they punched out and stripped. I really felt like Carr got away with a gift on that toss. It was just disgusting. I don't know how the league does this stuff. You have Pereira. He's covering his old boy's ass. Not even Pereira could cover them. the John Brown, but they go in and score. I was a little bit worried about Allen with the sneak. I and talk about, and you know where the tenor of this offense, the way the coaching staff views this offense, the way they felt like the game was going in the third quarter. The Bills are at the 45 of the rate. They're near the 50-yard line. They're near midfield. They go for it on 4th and 1. A jet sweep handoff to Isaiah McKenzie, and he dead run takes it, and that was huge. That's when you know that this team, they're in a different mindset now. They have a kill switch. They want to score, and even when I felt like they needed to bleed the clock late and had to punt the ball back after the Allen sack, they were still trying to score points. They were trying to put a touchdown on the field. What's up, Dan? What's up, Marshall Parker? You're new. Neil's back. Bowman, Damager, McBizzle, all the Gil, William, Shady, always, man, he fills up the room. You guys are killing it. How do you feel, Rick? Oh man, Los, it feels good, man, that this team we're starting to, we're scoring touchdowns. We're scoring touchdowns, and there was more meat on the bone today, I feel. And that's the encouraging thing. They didn't force 30 points on the board. They just came. They came. You had the first, the big play early on to Gabriel, touchdown. That pass to Beasley, touchdown. There was just, the run to Motor to punch it in. I felt like Brown got it on the board. They kicked the field goal, but still, this team they're there. They're there, and the more they play together, the better product we're going to see. But I do have to tip my cap to the defense, because they turned it around in the second half. They got a couple of stops, one on 4th down. They forced a punt. They created turnovers. They got the Raiders to put the ball on the ground several times. Carr was holding the ball low. Maybe it's something that they looked at, they spied, and they started slapping at that ball. And sure enough, he coughed it up a couple of key times. One by Quentin Jefferson, and I forget the other forced fumble, but it was big. It was big. I'm sorry. It was Norman on the punch. Darren Waller. That was a huge play. And you saw him. He was coming with his fist, and I felt like it should have been 3. What's up, Aaron? How you doing, man? Enjoy the modern Bill. She hasn't been this excited since the 90s. Yeah, man. Started off 3 straight to Diggs. Yep, that's how you start the game. You start getting your number 1 receiver into the flow of the game. And at the end, you see that investment pay off when Allen makes the field flipping throw. He just steps back, he trusts his receiver, and he gets the play. Was that Los asks, was that helmet to helmet when Allen got hurt? The guy hit Allen in the back of the helmet. When I didn't see that. There was a lot of penalties, most of them on the Raiders today. A few big offsettings, but the refs were trash today, man. The refs were trash, and it was. I wouldn't be shocked. I have to watch the game back. I recorded it. Allen 24 for 34, 288, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Just 3 carries for minus a yard, but he scored a touchdown. Singletary, 18 carries for 55 yards. Sounds pedestrian, but he had some big runs when it mattered. Isaiah McKenzie, 2 carries for 11 yards. Stephon Diggs, 6 for 115. And that's what that's what he's there for. Josh Norman, forced fumble recovery. Quentin Jefferson, forced fumble recovery. The defense does have to start tightening up, though. It really, really does. And it did that in the second half. Derek Carr has his flaws, but he's not the most mobile. He can scramble, but he's accurate as shit. Derek Carr is very, very accurate. He coming into this game, he was at a 74.5% clip. So he's an accurate guy. he's not going to be scattershot. And he was accurate when it was Del Rio as the head coach. He was, and he's been accurate with John Gruden. So he's had his ups and downs. He's had a lot of different offensive coordinators, a couple of head coaches, but he's always been a pretty accurate guy. And Gruden's going to scheme stuff up. He's going to give him some easy throws. And our front four, Bowman, a little bit, but they started to make plays in the second half. That was huge. They really started to make plays in the second half. They started the blitz car. They were close to getting home a few times. And the times that they did, they were able to get the ball out and just flip the game. Because that stop, the big kick return by Andre Roberts, who I've slighted, I said that he shouldn't have been on the roster, but that was a huge play that might go overlooked. But you get the ball at midfield and the Bills go down and score a touchdown and they stay ahead. Not that they never lost the lead in this game. They were up by 1 point, but they score a touchdown and that was it. That was it. And then the next time they get the strip out from Norman and they go down and score. Huge. You reward your defense, you reward your special teams. You had Bass make a big play. I think they got a 4th down stop on that. That's a huge, that could have been devastating, that kick return. He missed the field goal, but he makes the tackle. So everybody, it was a complete team win. Extra point, I'm sorry. It was a complete team win. Everybody played hard. The offensive line as a whole was pretty solid. They got to Allen a little bit, maybe in the second half. They were blitzing him a little more. But all in all, he seemed like he was seeing the field well. He was hitting receivers. They had that one little hiccup in the second half where, there was some drops, to be quite honest with you. I think Knox dropped one. I think he threw a few. He dirtied a few. And Diggs dropped one. It was like a little bubble screen. And then Brown was like a shallow crosser. It was a weird drop. But nevertheless, they pull it out like we all saw. What a great feeling. A great week to start. Jim and I don't think I've ever say this. I didn't think I'd ever say this, though. I always saw plenty of potential in Josh Allen. I never saw him as potentially being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Everyday flash, yeah, Klein was lost out there. He was the only guy who picked up Witten in that red zone sequence before the half, which really pissed me off. I mean, they drove down there. I was hoping for a field goal, but he looked, he was the only one covering them. They got sucked in by Carr moving. And yeah, the linebackers, again, I think that they're getting their eyes right. They need to play fast mentally, and then you'll start to see them make more plays. Shady Hoop, Gabe Davis is something special in the making. Yeah, that kid is coming because he makes a big play every game. Gabe Davis seems to make a big play every game, and he's Lowe's house. Cole Beasley got his foot hurt. I didn't know what drive it was, but he came back in the game in the second half. The Bills PR Twitter put it out that he was questionable to return. He came back, I believe, in the second series or the first series, but after they got a first down, he came back on that drive, and he was out there for the rest of the second half. So, and they got a whole week to prepare. And who knows what's going to happen with what's going on with Tennessee. Who knows if this game is going to be played now. That's, maybe the Bills get some extra time to heal up. Maybe the Tennessee Titans are shorthanded. Who knows? It's going to be, the NFL is going to find a way to schedule this game. It's going to be played. Just don't know when. Are we even going to play Sunday? Two more. It's kind of like, but it's weird. You have a situation with the Saints Lions last night. One of their players, Michael Burton, the fullback, he tests positive. Then all of a sudden he come back and test negative, and that's why this thing to me is this is all I'll say. It's been suspect from day one. These are world-class athletes. They're not old people. They're at the peak physical condition. These guys are regularly, they're tested for everything. They're monitored constantly. They wear, GPSs. They're in hyperbaric chambers. you see one and you know what they look like. And I've seen average football players in person, and they look like physical specimens. Punisher Vasquez, Klein will get better. He just hasn't been able to gel with others. He's a decent player, just needs time. I think the whole unit will get better. It got better in the second half, and we have a lot of new guys on the front four. You know, Epinesa, Quentin Jefferson made us a big play. Butler showed up a little bit today. You know, he made a few big plays. You know, Oliver needs to get back into it a little bit. Jerry just looked like he was a shade off. He almost looked like he had a few sacks. So there's guys there, and Milano, Edmonds come through this game healthy, you know, and we'll start to see some production. We'll start to see some production, and they forced some turnovers. We can't complain. They got some stops, some big stops, one on fourth down, and they forced some turnovers. They made the Raiders put the ball on the ground, and that's huge. Anytime you can make a team put the ball on the ground, tip passes. There was one play late in the game. Taron Johnson almost had an interception. He drove on a ball to Hunter Renfrow, and he just missed it. It was the first play of the drive that the Bills stopped him on fourth down. But then later in the game, he ends up getting burned by Hunter Renfrow. So it's tough, man, because Derek Carr, I knew he was going to be accurate. He's similar to Jared Goff. He's a little more accurate than Jared Goff, in my opinion. A little bit more accurate, similar type of athlete, maybe a shade better, if you will, but it was similar in that way. I just felt like the Bills had to win this game. The Raiders were down some offensive weapons, some offensive linemen, a defense that's very, very shaky, and your offense is humming, you know, averaging 30 a game. You got to go beat that team. Even on the road, you go beat that team. And you give yourself a ton of breathing room. You're first in the division. You're challenging for a home field place in the AFC, which is huge. Hopefully they can be some fans. Where do I rank Allen right now among quarterbacks? Jim and I asks. I'll get to that. Damager and not being able to practice in the off season with a quarterback, wide receiver. Everyday flash defense needs turnovers. The only way you can stop. Yeah, the offenses are good in this league, and they practice a lot, and they a lot of like 7-on-7. A lot of 7-on-7 happens now. There's not a lot of 11-on-11. There's very few segments of that anymore. A lot of it is 7-on-7. You put your DBs on an island, and you let your receivers learn how to work in space. But Jim and I asked, where do I rank Allen right now in the quarterbacks? He's playing like a top 5 NFL quarterback right now. And I'm not saying that he's going to continue or he is permanently, but right at this moment, as we speak, he's playing like a top 3, top 5 NFL quarterback. And nobody can dispute that. Nobody can dispute that. He's not dinking and dunking. He is taking the checkdowns. We've seen that. He is looking down, he's not trying to force the ball down the field. And when he went down the field finally in this game, it was a big play, and he hit it. He didn't miss down the field. I mean, the plays that he hit, he went down the field, the 26-yard touchdown to Gabe Davis, explosive play, and the big, like 50-plus yarder to Diggs. Those were huge plays. No, what are you thinking? Yeah, no, what are you thinking, John? Taking the sack, and when he got hurt, the pitch, I was like, whoa, dude, just throw that away, dirt that ball. But he put them in field goal range, and he hit it. So it looks like a big, at the end, big play. Phil Simms loves him. Phil Simms is here in North New Jersey. We all know Chris Simms is a big Josh Allen fan, has been since the beginning. He was a little dickhead when he went to Ramapo. I knew somebody who went to high school with him, and he was a little dickhead who Phil got out of trouble, but he seems like a good guy now. Very good analyst. I like him. I don't like Mike Florio. He's a big fan of Allen, and Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason gush about him. I mean, there's some clips I can play for you, and starting last week, I'll try to find those. But it's just another example of how he takes this team by the scruff of the neck in the second half, in that fourth quarter, and he doesn't allow them to lose the game. He makes the plays when he has to, and he looks the part and he's playing the part, and it's something to watch. It really, really is. It's something that we've longed for a very, very long time as Bills fans. I know it's 4 games. It's in his 3rd year. It's still very early, but the trajectory is this. The trajectory is going up. It's not like a Baker Mayfield who looks like he peaked early, he hit a plateau, and now it's kind of like you watch him, he looks, Darnold is precipitously dropping. Jackson today was kind of just, he didn't break 200 yards. He ran a lot. He threw a pick. Seems like the teams in this league, the defenses are figuring him out a little bit. You make him throw from the pocket, he's not as productive. Everyday Flash, I thought we were going to trade Span because he wasn't playing until now. Well, he only played because Brian Winters got hurt. Everyday Flash. Brian Winters with a knee, didn't come back in, and I don't know what his status, because when you have John Feliciano coming back, maybe depending on what's up with Winters, that's where Span. I mean, they may keep him, they may move him, who knows. Jim and I again agree 100%. Allen looks way more comfortable, and all those guys you mentioned. Yeah, he just looks calm, cool, and collected. And when he came back in the game, he goes down, he gets a little banged up, and that just really garners the respect of your teammates. He goes down on the goal line after they got shit called on the John Brown should have been touchdown, and he takes the quarterback sneak. He puts that shoulder on the line. He's out there making plays, and that you just get the respect of your teammates that much more when you show that type of moxie and that type of willingness to, put your body on the line. And he really, when he had to, again, he delivered, and it was big. And I just think about that pass to Diggs. That's a pass last year that would have been maybe overthrown, just rushed a shade or a little bit. And instead, Allen just very calmly poised, just, he does what he does. And it was really nice to see. It was really, really nice to see. And I'm just really, really excited right now because, 4-0. And I'm going to try and find that clip for you. And so if you hear noise in the background, don't mind me.
Worth of these 2 guys talking with the host. And that's the host who's with them. I'm going to give you a couple to understand why he can coexist with us because.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to find the where I see where the extra noise was coming from, but it was I'm still like in shock that we're watching a quarterback, just continue. He hits a rough patch. He finds his footing. He doesn't. It's like we saw Trent Edwards. He was the last quarterback to lead the Bills to 4-0. And you saw a lot of serendipitous things, on those defenses, special teams, timely turnovers. He did play well. And then once they hit a rough spot, they could never regain their footing. In games, too. In games, they just could never regain their footing. He's not the physical specimen Allen is. He was not a first-round quarterback. And he's just, quite frankly, what I learned about Trent Edwards in the preceding years is not the competitor Josh Allen is.
I mean, again, here's another adjective: horrific.
I'm trying to find the clip.
Yeah, I mean, it was 3rd and 7, and they couldn't run the ball at all. That back because, of course, they're losing the great Tom Brady. I don't care how many plays you have. I don't care.
I'm trying to.
Sees it. Everybody sees it, and Bradley has to answer for it. Right, and he just got here.
I'm trying to find this clip for you guys.
Saying that we're not practicing hard. And he's saying that we're not practicing hard. Yesterday, now he threw a couple bad interceptions, one bad interception.
I'll find it. The second he starts, I'll let you play. I'm going to hear for you. Can you hear this, guys? Let me know if you can hear him talking.
Quarterbacks played their asses off yesterday.
Can you hear this?
It was an unbelievable game. And the NFL does not.
If you guys can hear this, give me a thumbs up. Listen.
Outside of New York. Outside of New York.
It's only 10 seconds.
Great stories all over this league. And there are players that are just playing their asses off. So if Sam Darnold takes 5 steps back yesterday,
now
Josh Allen takes 5 steps forward to be a part of the MVP discussion after 3 weeks. Josh Allen is a gunslinger, and he's amazing. He is the perfect example of a guy who walks into a room and everybody knows he's in there, and he is the unquestioned heartbeat of the Buffalo Bills. So there are 3 teams.
If you guys heard that clearly, he said last week, Josh Allen, if Sam Darnold took 5 steps back, Josh Allen's taken 5 steps forward, and that was last week. He's a gunslinger, and he's the kind of guy, he walks into a room, he's the unquestioned heartbeat of the Bills. He's the leader. You see him lead the team out on the field. You see him rally the guys. You see him in the post game, and he seems like he's that dude. He's just that dude. It was like Deion Dawkins at the beginning of last year, down 0-16 in the third quarter. And, I just remember he said he's a leader. Josh is a leader, and everybody knows what he's capable of. He didn't say what he does, what he's capable of. And now we're starting to see what he's capable of. And it's delicious, guys. I can't lie. It's delicious. And I'm just so happy that 4-0. I mean, come on. Our week is made. You're going to play some tough teams now. There's some tough teams and some tough games now coming up, but I think this team is ready. This team is ready for it. Everyday Flash, I was watching Norman's highlights before the game. He forces a lot of fumbles. No, it wasn't. You saw him come in. He had his fist. When you watch the replay, if you guys have NFL Rewind, or if you recorded the game like I did, he came in. His fist was flying. He was Superman punching that ball, and he did it. And if you look at his statistics, he had a couple of years where he had 4 forced fumbles, a couple of forced fumbles, and that's a huge thing to have. I hope Levi is okay, though. I really do. I hope he's okay. May have sprained his ankle. He had that same issue last year before the playoff game, didn't play in it, but I hope he's able to get back. Damager. Yes, the Sims have a huge erection for Josh Allen. Yeah, they've always liked Josh Allen. He looks the traditional quarterback. He's got the athletic and the movement skills, but when you look at him in that class, Darnold was probably in second and third in terms of the way they look. Baker being smaller, they weren't fans. The Tillman punch, the peanut punch, that was more Trey needs to make those plays. There was a few times. That one to Waller was really irritating to me. When Waller went over the middle, he caught it and was able to just trap it between his legs. It just seemed like they were just a shade off, Even when Poyer got called for pass interference late in the game, I saw nothing. They were both hand fighting, and then he went up with his left hand and deflected the ball. Instead, 46 yards. Which is ridiculous. The Bills did get saved, though, by a penalty. The Raiders made a mental error. The tight ends wasn't covered. The tackle wasn't covered. The wide receiver motioned, and I believe it was Aguilar didn't take a step back, and that could have been a long touchdown, and it didn't count. So it broke even. Okay, the Bills won. It broke even. I didn't think that was pass interference. No, I don't think it was either. Even, I'll be fair. When the Bills had offsetting penalties with the Raiders late in the game, Quentin Jefferson, he cleaned up Derek Carr a little bit. And then Jacobs got called for lowering the crown of the helmet against Poyer. I thought that was a football play. So the Raiders, gained 15 yards on that play. I want to be fair. I just thought that was a football play. And I think that 10, 15, 20 years ago, that's just another play in a game. Instead of this day and age, you got 2 flags on the ground, which is, come on, what are you doing out there? Bonzolo, what do you think of Edmonds' play? Sorry if you talked about him already. I didn't talk about him. He looked like he grew into himself late in the game. Maybe trusting his shoulder a little more, and just getting a little bit more acclimated. Him and Milano, it just looks like they're off a little bit. Their timing is off a little bit. It looks like they're just not playing fast mentally. And just the way the season was started, all the stuff that has happened, I can understand. I can understand it. Look what kind of defense. You see how the Bills got their receivers together. We're down in Miami working out. Josh had all the guys. They went out to California too. What can the defense do to kind of get themselves? There's nothing they can do. Maybe they can work against the offense, but that's more of a passing thing. And so you see a lot of that around the league, though. The offenses are kind of humming, and the defenses are trying to play catch up. Leo Snow, how does Josh Allen wash those huge balls every morning? The same way we all do, except it takes them a little longer because they're big. Edmonds, Damager's correct. Edmonds played better. They both played better than the last game. They both did. Shady Who Edmonds still overshoots. There was one play. It was a run. It was a run to Jacobs. He got caught over pursuing, and the tackle just pushed him right past. And fucking Jacobs. And the Bills had him backed up to, I believe it was like a 1st and 40 or 1st and 15, and Jacobs just got the first down, just like that. And I was like, son of a bitch. You got him behind the sticks. Keep him at less than 5 yards. Get him at 2nd and 10 plus. It was really, really annoying. Oh, Mullins just missed Jusek for a big play. Oh, that was bad. Damager, right? How many of those players don't even return? Sometimes they go out of the game and they just don't come back in. So it was nice to see Everyday Flash. It was nice to see Jefferson getting involved, forcing a fumble, and he got a sack fumble on that. He got credited with a sack. Shady Who probably is timing issue, mental. They always say linebackers. Lorenzo Alexander was really big about playing fast with your eyes and just diagnosing plays quick. And you're seeing that's they're a little hesitant. Even Milano, who's a heady player. Damager, defense are bad all around the league. Yeah. Neil, should we be worried about Bass? I'm not worried, but I do get a little, how I see what the Titans go through, and I'm like, okay. But I mean, he did hit a field goal. He made all the other extra points. He missed one. We just got to chalk it up as the kid is human, and he's still learning. But if you watch the miss, I did notice on the miss PAT, Bjorquez didn't get the laces all the way around. He just caught the snap and just put the ball down. He didn't spin the ball. Maybe that threw off Bass a little bit. These kickers are really fickle, man. I was watching a video about kickers, and they're really like psychological, some other level. Like they like everything to be boom, 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 snap, place, turn, strike. It's like a soccer kicker on a free kick. It's really weird, but they're very, very regimented and just everything. Remember, there was one time a kicker had a snapper, not a snapper, a holder change. And it freaked him the fuck out, and he started missing kicks left and right just because the holder changed. I don't know if the holder was doing anything different, but it threw him completely off. I think it was Robbie Gould. It was him, and he's a really good kicker. He's still kicking, and he's old. So I was hoping he got a chance to try to make that long field goal or a chance to take it after Allen got sacked, but it wasn't meant to be. I was really hoping he could try it. I want to see his leg. I want to see him from 50 yards because he's going to have to try it at some point. Damager, why are we running the ball at the end of the game, not taking 3 knees? Because they had to during the course of the play, you run time. If the Bills didn't run those plays and you're continuously taking the time, if you knee it down, the play clock restarts. So, if a play takes 8 seconds and you run 3 plays, that's 24 seconds. So that's why they were doing that. So on that last play, they only had to take 1 knee. And that was it. And the game was over. That's why they had to. Yeah, like golfers. Shady Who said it perfect. Perfect. You did it better than I did. The run defense needs to improve. They tightened it up late. They were starting to get Jacobs down. Jacobs, as they said on the telecast a few times, he's forced the most missed tackles in the NFL since last year. And he's a lot shiftier for a bigger back. And that's what I feel like the Bills are missing. Hopefully Zach Moss comes back and reestablishes himself, or he needs to establish himself. He's only played 1.5 games. he needs to be that bigger back, that physical presence, downhill presence that you can just pound at teams, salt away games. Everyday Flash. Hopefully he's as good as Phil Mickelson. Yeah, Phil Mickelson. All those guys, Arnold Palmer, Tiger Woods. I mean, this guy now, Kafka, whoever. I'm not a big golf, but I hear the names. Shady, who think the Bills get a bye this week coming up? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I have no idea what they're going to do or how they're going to try to like get this game in. I mean, I'm at a loss. I can't even speculate because the way they treat this thing, I mean, they treat it like it's the Black Plague. I don't see that. I live here in North New Jersey, New York, where we've got the most death tolls, and I don't see people. I live right down the street from Christ Hospital. That place was never overrun. I know that. I don't hear sirens 24/7. I have an ambulance a station right down the block from me. I don't hear that thing going 24/7. So I don't know. I think it's just insane. I really do. I think it's insane. Just like Damager, 0.3. I mean, what are we doing here? Everyday Flash, hopefully he's as good as Phil. Oh, okay, I read that already. Damager seems like every first guy missed Jacobs. Yeah, he was a pain. He was a pain. When they caught him a few times, there was one time they had him almost for a loss. I think that was on a screen. He didn't get the first down, but they fucking missed him, and I was livid. McBrizzle, the non-pressure on the quarterback is rough. Hopefully, it's just a matter of time, them needing to get together and clean it up. Yeah, they started to get more pressure in the second half, and that's why the defense, started to, what they call buzzing. They just were near him, and Carr started to, if you notice, he almost fell. They scored a touchdown on the next play on the 4th and 1 late in the game, but before that, when he was backing up, he almost fell, and they were making him do that in the second half a lot. Leo Snow, when Allen and Diggs are on the same bus, how do they pass the way station on the highway with those balls? That's a good one, man. You're a good one with these sayings. Shady Who is BS, political scam. I really think it smells disgusting, and I can't say it better. It just seems like it's we got to start walking around like zombies, covering our faces, and just people pass it off as just that's the way it is. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, and it's a shame because the Bills are good. And fans can't watch them. Fans can't go to games. People can, I have questions, but, let's just talk about the game. Do you think the Eagles can win tonight and defeat the banged up 49ers? I don't know. The Eagles are in bad shape, man. They need this win. They're 0-2-1. And if they want to survive and try to get themselves, they just hit a big play. I mean, if they can beat this team, they're in that division. Dallas, you want to talk about bad defense, guys? Let me read a few comments, and I'll talk about some bad defense. You guys probably know where I'm going. Everyday Gemini, I feel like we get stout against the run in the AFC. It comes down to us and the Chiefs. I agree. I think we start, playing a little bit better defense, just a little bit better defense. I'll take a 15th ranked defense, 15th, 17th ranked defense, and I'll take a top 3 offense, top 3, top 5 offense, and I think we're ready to roll. And the Eagles just turned the ball over. Do I think? Oh, definitely. We have to be. I mean, we have to be. I feel he might have trapped it. He might Greenwald. He might have trapped it. Or Ali. I can't say his last name. Al-Shur. I can't say that last name. But Neil, I think this team is primed. They have to be. Lamar Jackson will be a problem for us. He'll be a problem, but they played well against him last year. And I think Allen, now he has Diggs, a guy like Gabe Davis. I think he's going to remember that game. And I've seen Jackson kind of like, he's not blowing up like he was last year. Teams have kind of like, because those hits accumulate. You run the football, you run for, what do you have, 1,200 yards last year? You eventually, that's got to calm down. That's got to come back to earth. Like Allen. Allen's not running. He's throwing. He had -1 yard rushing. That's as that's not even pedestrian. He didn't try. He didn't have to. He was just back there using his arm, using his eyes. And that's what we want. Do we want to? Then that's when it'll come up. Teams will start sleeping on that run, and boom, he'll hit him with it. And that's exactly what I want. 1-2 big times a game. That's all I want. Neil, what's the main issue with the defense right now? Do I think, of course, you miss a big guy like that in the middle of your defense. He plays 35% of the time, and he's just a big, ugly player in the sense that he's just going to eat up space, take up blocks, and let the linebackers run. I don't know if they have a guy like that on their defense right now. Will they try to find one? Maybe. I think we can see the issues on this team, and that's why you got this is a talking point I wanted to bring up, so thank you, Neil. Everyday Flash, you stole my thunder. Yeah, Dallas is bad on D. I was calling it defensive Dallas in the first half today. Yeah, they're bad. They are bad. Oh, man, they are bad. Now, if Atlanta's just smart enough to fall on a football, Dallas is 0-4, and they give up points for fun. And it forces Dak to throw. He's putting up points, but he's also turning the ball over. And, that's – speaking of turnovers, Josh Allen, no turnovers today. Clean game, no fumbles, not even a scare. No balls that looked like could have been intercepted. There was one where he kind of threw behind Croft, and he had to reach behind it. It hit the ground. But overall, and that's what I was looking for, a clean game. I would have liked to see him go over 300 just for the stats. But I can't complain. I can't complain. I can bitch, but nobody will care. They're 4-0. And there's some teams right now trying to get their first win. There's teams that tried today without their first win. And in such a weird year, just a weird time in the history of it. It's crazy, but it brings joy to us. It brings joy to the fan base and to the city. I'm sure it does to the players. It probably makes them want to, go to work and just play harder, accumulate wins. You learn how to win by winning. You remember the old Bills would say, we need to get over the hump. You need to get over the hump. I hear that from Jets and Giants coaches and the rhetoric that come out of their buildings and their media, how they need to learn how to get over the hump, how they need to. What's up, KB? How you doing, man? And the old Bills never could do that because they didn't win. They didn't make big plays when they matter. The old Bills don't hit that big play to Diggs. The old Bills don't force those fumbles and then go score on them or return that punt or get a fourth down stop. The old Bills find a way to choke. That's what they do. An old Bills quarterback would have thrown an interception, or there would have been a fumble, just something. There would have been something, a coaching gaffe, something. But these Bills are a lot less of those somethings are happening, and that's when your team has turned it around. Especially you win because you're a quarterback. The Bills are winning because of Josh Allen. There's no other reason. The defense played well in the second half, but in totality, they're 4-0 because of him. And wow, you couldn't have written a better script. You couldn't. The defense took a little bit of a step back. Maybe they can recoup, but they're winning because of the quarterback they invested a lot in. They traded up. They put the card in. They took a lot of scrutiny from me, from you guys, from the league, from media, from pundits, from analytics people, and they did it. There was a really nice video some independent guy put up. I'll put the link in the video if you already seen it. Cool, but it's just really, really nice. And if you guys want to watch it, I'm gonna share it. And it was really, really cool. Just people criticizing him during the draft, his journey. It was really, really cool. I'll read a few comments here. Damager high quality wins already this season. Bills know how to win a game and not play to lose. They 100% right. And they're not trying to just, hang on to leads. They're trying to put the foot on the throat of other teams, which is what is perfect. Bowman, yep. McDermott changing the culture like Marv did, taking the TNT to the building and just wiping it out and saying, we got to start new. Something I called for after Marone walked away. I mean, even the players, you just got to, there's a few guys that maybe are going to be all in, but these other guys, no. You got to get rid of everybody and just start new. It took them a while. We're here 6 years later, but we're here and going up. McBrizzle, I feel more comfortable with Norman in there. He played really aggressive, and it was great. Yeah, I think Norman will provide a little stability. I just hope Levi's okay. He did get an interception last week. You can't deny that. And corners are a valuable position. So if he's out a week or two, can live with it. I just hope it's not long term. But everybody around, it's an injury league. It's a next man up league, and they're going to have to find a way to deal with it. But thankfully, Norman's there. They can settle it down. Jim and I, these Bills honestly look special. Our offense looks like it's being led by a Mahomes or Rodgers. It has that feel. It has that feel. It wasn't like 4-0 Bills with Edwards. There was a couple of games, the Chargers game in particular, where the power goes out. Well, they can't call plays in the stadium. The power goes out, some weird shit. He wins that game kind of. Kavika Mitchell's interception, but the late touchdown to Hardy in Jacksonville, but he just wasn't Josh Allen. Let's just put it that way. Jim and I, the Damager, people wanted Dable fired. Dable's been, has been on fire this year. Great. Yeah, I mean, the way it looks, Dable looks like he's going to be a head coach next year. If it keeps going the way it's going, Dable's going to be a head coach for somebody next year. Everyday Flash, I was for Allen, made a YouTube video after the draft pick. Potential was through the roof. If you did, man, hats off to you. I made a YouTube video and I said, you know what? You guys know how I feel. I didn't want the kid, but I'm going to get behind him. Guys like Rick, hit me up on IG, said, you know what? He's a Bill now. Got to get behind him and just root for this kid no matter what. And, I want every player to do well who puts on that uniform. Any person who puts on that uniform and goes out on that field, I want them to be the best. And, I've stood behind him. I didn't want him in the beginning, and I'll own it, but he's proved a lot of people wrong so far. It's still early. Year 3, 4 games in, he's proven a lot of people wrong, man. Hussein, loving this feeling. We were 2 games ahead of the Patriots by tomorrow. I hope so, man. If they're up 2 games, that's big. And then you got to beat them. You got to beat them at least once. You got to beat the Patriots at least once. That's what I got to beat them at least once. Bowman, Dable's playbook is built for the passing offense. Allen has taken the next step. Yeah, and he's just calling passes. I mean, we're just a wide open offense now. They're 4 wide receivers, empty set, 10 personnel, 11 personnel. They're really just spread them out. And then again, Allen is not running. There's no more of that. I mean, there's going to be some of that, obviously, because I think that's kind of built in to his skill set. But I'm just glad the shoulder's okay. I think it was a stinger and the reason I thought it was a stinger, because it was announced that it was a shoulder, and then he shook his hand. Have you ever had a stinger? I remember one time I got hit here, right in the clavicle, and it made my hand numb as hell. Like it shot all the way down to my fingers, and I remember my hand was numb, and I was doing this, and I was just like one of those numbers, And I don't remember how it happened. It was during like a Pee-wee football game. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh God. I mean, because I remember Darnold came back after a little bit of a shoulder stinger, and I don't know what it was, a clavicle or whatever, but yeah, it wasn't like precipitously hanging or anything like that. I think he probably went in and put a harness on it for some extra support, because he came out with one of those black like things that's like the sleeve of a harness. George Kittle wears one for every game, but his is white. If you notice, like Kittle always has this thing on his arm that's a shoulder harness. What's his name? Edmonds is wearing one because of the shoulder. Just provides some extra support and keeps it in place, forward, in front, top. It really just kind of, it's not as free and easy as it used to be on purpose. K Beats, I have confidence in Josh. I've never really had. I have not had confidence in a Bills quarterback. I mean, Trent gave me a little bit of hope. I was always none since that. Obviously, that ended quick. Bledsoe a little bit early 02 because there was a little bit of a track record. He had led a team to a Super Bowl, but after that, that was it. After some of those big games, Minnesota, the Bears, one in Miami, and after that, he was just, he was a statue. He was always good for a dumb interception. He couldn't move. Bledsoe, Flutie was probably the last quarterback. Flutie was the last quarterback I had, confidence in late, confidence in from a winning standpoint, a guy who was going to get guys to play hard for him. Never had confidence in Rob Johnson. Never. I had more confidence in Alex Van Pelt than Rob Johnson. That's how bad. None of the young ones, Lossman, any of the. I had more confidence in Jabron Hamden, and he never played it down. He never threw the ball for the Bills. So I had more confidence in him. There was a quarterback named Travis Brown the Bills had. I had more confidence in him. I had an EJ Manuel. You want to see a classic example of manufactured accuracy. If you go, Billy Joe Hobert, I remember. If you remember 97, Billy Joe Hobert had one of the peak moments, peak tenures for a Bills quarterback. It was 97. The team was no good. I think they ended up being 6-10 in New England. I believe Todd Collins gets pulled. He gets benched. I don't know if you guys know the story. Hobert goes in, is terrible. Throws 2 interceptions. He's like 7 for whatever. He just, he's not good. He was a guy they traded a 3rd round pick. Oh, Nathan Peterman. I mean, that poor kid. I was hoping he'd get in the game today. I don't know why. I'm like, wouldn't it be poetic if he got in the game today and they just started intercepting him all over the place? I mean, that would have been delicious, but it didn't happen. So after the game, they're asking him. They're talking to Billy Joe Hobert, and he just basically admits he didn't know the playbook. Dead ass to the media says, yeah, I don't know the playbook. This is my first time here. I really didn't know the playbook. I just looked at it a little bit on the sideline. Remember those photos, those old photos they used to take. You see Brady looking at. They had those. He said, yeah, that's really the first time I really looked at it. Well, I really don't know the playbook. I just basically got here. He was kind of like a country guy, and they cut him. That was it. They released him. He ended up getting picked up by the Saints. Yep. That was Billy Joe Hobert. So if you guys have that story or you didn't know it, I remember it very, very well. He wore number 8. He wore number 8, and that was it for him. K Beats, just think 2 years ago we were watching Clay drop a touchdown in Miami. The way they've entirely retooled the offense. 2 years, it's astounding. Yeah, Clay. That there's a player that the former regime paid a lot of money to, got criticized. It was not a good contract. Got a lot of fanfare. Took a guy away from a division opponent, but look at it this way. You have the Bills went and got at one time. I'll use three different examples. An older Terrell Owens to pair with Lee Evans for Trent Edwards. We saw how that goes. He starts to, he just bombs. He ends up getting benched. They want to play with Fitz. They like Fitz. You hear Terrell Owens early this year said, one of his favorite quarterbacks to play with was Ryan Fitzpatrick because he always gave him a chance. Always gave him a chance. And, T.O., for all his, criticism that he's undertook, had a pretty okay stay in Buffalo. I mean, his stats weren't great. The quarterback situation sucked. The team was not good, but he didn't cause trouble. He wasn't a bad guy. He could have been. And Carson Wentz just scored a touchdown. Looks like it's going to be 7-0 to start for Philly. Then 4 years later, Bills had drafted EJ Manuel. He was injured several times his rookie year, never showed a couple of glimpses. But after the injury in Cleveland, He came back. He played a couple of games. The one game in I believe in Toronto where Stevie fumbled, I believe, or he dropped the ball, or I think it was Scott Chandler. But the next year they go out and they draft Sammy Watkins, and he's benched after starts out 2-0, teams ends up 2-2. He's benched, and that's it. And they go out and get a wide receiver, invest a first round pick for a quarterback. That was it. That was it for him. He was done. And you see what this regime does. They go out and invest. Wow, they went for 2. Ballsy. Big balls right there for Philly. That's going to build Wentz's confidence right there. They go out and get Diggs, and you see they're thriving. They're thriving. Allen is putting balls up for Diggs. Diggs is coming through and making big catches. He's got an attitude and a swagger that a number one receiver carries himself with. I mean, that's just how these guys are wired. I mean, we always get worried about people coming in and disrupting the culture and the chemistry and the harmony in the locker room with the team. But Diggs looks like a dog, and he wants to play like one, and he goes out there and he gives, his all. And you got to just tip your cap to him. Stevie was a hell of a route runner, a weird route runner, and he was a good guy. There was a lot of likable Bills. Fred, likable Bill. Kyle Williams, likable Bill. Stevie was a likable Bill. Eric Wood, a likable Bill. There was some guys that were just very, very likable, and you wish that they could have got a chance to be a part of this. Particularly like a Fred. Eric, the way he had to retire, which sucked. You wish Kyle had a few more years left on him. There was a few guys. They were just really likable guys. Yeah, Diggs. You got to say for early on, Damager, Diggs, and Allen are definitely one of the top 3-5 combos in the league right now. The way they're playing, top 3-5. Everyday Flash. When Carr was hurt, I was waiting to see if he got up. Peterman was, he was shaking his arm. It looked similar to what Allen was going through, and Addison and him were talking some junk. And he just, he stayed in the game. They never got the ball back. The Bills, recovered the onside kick and just ran out the clock. So we never got to know. Jim and I was so high on Spiller at one point. Yeah, Spiller looked fun, but that team had no business drafting a running back. You have future Hall of Famer Marshawn Lynch. I mean, my God, like the runs that he made for that Seattle team. You had Fred Jackson. And just they had no business. They had no quarterback. They had no business drafting a toy. That they just didn't. Hussein, Kyle got emotional when he retired because he knew they were building something special at one Bills drive. Yeah, just like Eric having to retire, Kyle, just being at the end of his rope. Fred, Fred never got to feel that. He never got to be with McDermott. Stevie was gone, long gone. There was just a handful of Bills I would have liked to have seen play. Even Richie Incognito for a guy, he had 2 stints with the Bills. He was a head case. But if you look at his career, the way he's had to leave the league, come back in the league, take a year off, and he's still a guard in this league at 37 years old, and he plays at a high level, that guy is a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. I mean, he, multiple Pro Bowls. He's a Hall of Fame caliber offensive lineman. There's just a handful of guys I would have liked to have. Robert Woods, there's another guy, just tough, great route runner, blocks really, really hard. They just didn't have the money, and they didn't have a quarterback. Why would he have stayed in Buffalo? There was no Josh Allen. There was no culture. There was no money. The same year we lost Stephon Gilmore. No culture, no winning, no money, no quarterback. Why are you staying? All they know is losing. So, he's from USC. I remember it was him and the other guy who really never made it big, Marquise Lee. He just kind of toiled around. But here we have, we finally have a good group of guys. John Brown, Beasley, guys who get separation, guys who make tough catches. Beasley made another crazy catch when he went up and got it over, I believe. I think it was it Joyner? It might have been Joyner. Or Mullen, I'm sorry. It was right on the sideline. He made a huge catch for Allen on the touchdown drive. Robert, another great route runner. Exactly, had no quarterback. Why is he staying? But guys, I've been here for over an hour. We're well into the first quarter of the Philly San Francisco game. It's 8-0 Philly. I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a great evening. Have a wonderful week. What a great way to start, a new month. October, starting it right at 4-0. A clean sweep to start the first half of the football calendar. They always say, there's 4 quarters. You win the quarter, you go 3-1, 4-0, or just, at worst you break even. But this team, 12 games, and they've got 4 wins. So, I mean, this is a really, really great start, guys. The same time last year, they were 3-1. This year, they're 4-0. Go Bills. Love you guys. Have a great week. Peace. Same name, IG, Snapchat, Twitter. It's all good. Love you. Go Bills.